Hello, Becky. It's so lovely of you to come and share time with me today to talk about what you love about baby watching. You are a really inspirational group leader. I have to say, you've done some really interesting ideas when your group couldn't get started, and I love all that. You've been such an inspirational group leader. But today we're here to talk about what you love about baby watching and the impact you've seen on your children. So away you go.
Absolutely. Gosh, what don't I love about baby watching? It's fantastic. For me personally, I found it a really lovely opportunity to bond with the children in a different space. In the classroom, we expect so much from the children on a day-to-day basis, particularly with the curriculum as it is now. And it's time and space with them in a gentler, calmer kind of way. It's time to bond and to see the children in a different light as well. You see reserved children come forward, you see some of the more confident children sit back, and it's really interesting to see where their different behaviours, where they go with it when they sit down and engage in a different environment. It's just a nurturing space. It's time. It's a different time. It's really refreshing to sit down with them and see different things. I've worked it in rather than a full class. We did try a full class session of 30 children, and we've realised that a smaller class is better. You get much greater value from it. Children feel more willing to respond and engage in that slightly smaller space. Yes. Some children that are less willing to communicate in a whole class situation have become more willing, particularly within baby watching. It takes longer for that to feed into a normal classroom setting, but I have seen that happen, where children have moved from very, very reserved to much more confident socially, but also actually it's had an impact academically. They're learning to be a bit more resilient, a bit more willing to have a go, which has been amazing to see. So,
I love that, Becky. And you talked about the fact that it's made them think about their behaviours, because they've been thinking about how they sit in the circle, how they keep the space safe for mummy and baby to be safe within so that they can watch it. It's been making them think about or reflecting on themselves as well as reflecting on the relationship unfolding in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's great for teaching boundaries and social skills within that. So it's not just what they're actually receiving from watching mum and baby interact, but it is all the skills that go around that as well. Turn taking, asking sensible questions or thoughtful questions and responding in an appropriate manner to that as well. Sitting and respecting somebody else's space, and not just mummy and baby, but also the people around you that are participating as well.
And you told me this amazing story a moment ago about this little girl who was new to your class, and therefore it was, in terms of attachments, that's quite a threatening position. And due to sort of fear, threat that she was feeling, she would close down. I mean, please tell me how she unfolded and how she reflected and changed as she began to feel safer.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of just such a lovely example to exemplify the power of baby watching, actually. Yes, as you say, this young lady came into our classroom. She joined the class about a term after everybody else had settled down. And obviously in year 3, those children already have quite strong bonds and so on and so forth. So as you say, quite a difficult situation to come into. But she was quite, I don't want to say challenging child, that's not the right word, but yes, she would close down very quickly, didn't want to participate, didn't want to contribute in class day to day, very negative attitude to work, lots of things that were barriers for her. And as we've gone along this baby watching journey, I've seen her start to grow in confidence, start to grow in a desire to participate and share. But also, I think the thing I mentioned to you was, occasionally have an interaction with another child that wasn't one that we wanted to celebrate, but was one that we wanted to unpick and resolve. And the situation would be that this young lady would just shut down, wouldn't want to take any acknowledgement or ownership of the scenario. And quite recently, and this is how far we've come, there was another one of those incidents. And after having dealt with it, as we usually would, and she'd gone away and she thought about it, where we'd normally get that shut down, instead, about 10 minutes later, she came over to me and said, "Mrs. Mills, yes, I think I'd like to go and say sorry." And I said, "Would you really?" She said, "Yes, I would." And I just went, wow. contain my response because I just want to go, oh my gosh, I want to give you a great big hug and say this is amazing. But you have to be rather less enthusiastic about it. But, yeah, it was absolutely lovely, and she did, and she went and apologised to the other person that was involved in the interaction, and then actually took it a step further and came up with how to prevent herself getting into that sort of situation again. And I just thought, wow, what a journey this young lady's been on. And I do believe that baby watching and having the time to learn those rules and boundaries, but to watch relationships unfold in front of her as well, has been really valuable in helping her understand it's okay to get things wrong. We've got to think about how we get that right. And that was, you know, that was a really lovely moment that was born from this.
I think that's incredible, and I think that says a lot about how safe the relationships were beginning to feel for her to have the confidence and security to actually do something new. And we do need to feel secure in ourselves before we can take those risks. And I think there's something about the safety of the space and seeing relationship with you as somebody she can really trust and who listens, the relationship with her peers around her as they begin to negotiate and learn how to be more respectful of one another. There's just that lovely sense of safety that comes from, that then feeds back into your everyday.
Absolutely. And I think that's, I know we spoke earlier briefly about the impact on the whole class, and it has helped evolve those relationships so that they create that safe space together. They have a greater recognition of one another's needs and responses and so on and so forth. And there's a trust that's built from doing baby watching. And that's really lovely to see and feel as a whole class as well.
Yes, I think that's wonderful. And in a very pressured curriculum, you've got to make a little bit of space for it, sort of 20 minutes a weekish. But how does that feel as a teacher? Is it something you really feel is worth doing? Is it quality added to the educational experience of your children?
100%, absolutely. I don't think the class would be as engaged day to day as they are if we didn't make space for this. I think this creates a really special bond between teacher and children, but also between the class network. The support I've seen them start to give one another, it's not just about the relationship between me and them, but between their peers, is highly valuable. And I've seen that socially and academically, because we have this half an hour a week, and I think it really is it's a massive payoff. I would hesitate to now have a class that didn't have that space for it going forward. So.
Oh, Becky, it's just so lovely to speak to you. I must try and get another video with you. We've been doing a series about what people love about baby watching and the impact. Yeah. And so I don't want to bring in the other really creative ideas you've done. But I must book you in and have another session with you, because you've done some really interesting stuff when mummy and baby haven't been available. And I'd love to talk to you about that another time. So total pleasure. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And I'll speak to you again.
No problem at all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you ever so much.